gather around the table once again for another session of Dungeons and Drakfu. And happy Tuesday, everybody. And wow, we are in a brand new area. Well, we've kind of run out of instance hubs, if you think about it. We took on Hellfire Citadel. We took on Coilfang Reservoir, where the Naga are, and the Fel Orcs at Hellfire. We took on Auchentoon and all the various factions that were trying to take that over. Now we're going to take on the 5th dungeon hub, if you count the Caverns of Time. It's 2 dungeons, I don't know if I count it, but we are now at the 5th dungeon hub, which is now dealing with the Blood Elves at Tempest Keep. So people might remember Netherstorm. We are back here, and here is Tempest Keep. And I know I didn't give a whole lot of lore with the Caverns of Time. That's just because we got quests to be able to do that. So here is the lore of Tempest Keep as we get started. Tempest Keep is a former Naru fortress in Netherstorm in the Outland. This crystalline fortress is now ruled by Kael'thas Sunstrider, the Lord of the Blood Elves, and dominated by scores of his brethren. The structure is divided into 3 wings, satellites of gigantic structure, with the 4th wing, the Exodar, now in the world of Azeroth as the Draenei capital. These are former Draenei not Draenei spaceships, but Naru spaceships. So they all comprise this one big ship. So the 3 remaining wings are differentiated by the different color schemes. Botanica, which is light blue, Arcatraz, which is red, and the Mechanar, which is light purple. And today we're actually going to be stepping into the Mechanar. So let's go ahead and go over the lore of that. But as you can see off to the right, that is the Mechanar. So come on. And once again, I'm getting my information from Wowpedia, so you guys can check there. Let's see if we can get a basic description walking into the Mechanar for you guys. The Mechanar is the 1st wing. It serves as a base for Pothalion the Calculator. Oh, gee, we dealt with him a lot in Burning Crusade questing, didn't we? We finally get to face him. And also generates mana cells, which contain an incredible amount of power. It once belonged to the Naru. The area is filled with Moargs, which are redesigned in Legion, but they're kind of like the engineers and the tech experts of the Legion. They kind of aren't that now, but yeah, well, we're not going to get in there. As well as Bloodwarder and Sunseeker Blood Elves. As people remember when we did Netherstorm, we dealt a lot with the Blood Elves, and this is why, because this is really their stronghold. So let's go ahead and do that, or let's go ahead and get this started. I actually think we need to go in there anyway. I'm going to double check really quick. Let's see. Think, yeah. So the other cool part is that one of these dungeons is actually not accessible, and that's the one in the red. That is the Arcatraz. That's the last one we'll take on because it was the first normal dungeon, or in the only normal dungeon in Burning Crusade. Well, no, Magister's Terrace didn't have one. That required an attunement, and the attunement is basically to go into the other 2 wings and get the pieces of the Arcatraz key. So let's go ahead and get things started by going into the Mechanar. Obviously, you can't get here unless you have flying. So I actually like that concept too, is like you have to have flying to access these dungeons. So let's go ahead and walk on in. It's going to be Heroic Mechanar because why not? And get used to seeing this one too, because I love the people who get mad that my thumbnails incorporate the loading screens. And Burning Crusade instead did hubs. I know, it's stupid, but thankfully in Wrath of the Lich King they fixed it. So I wouldn't worry too much. But when we walk in here, with great power comes great responsibility. A voice like the sound of light. The sound of light bells rings in your head. The Mechanar employs my race's technology to create mana cells, objects which provide great amounts of power. I need you to eliminate Mechanoloord Capacitus so that Kael'thas' forces cannot harvest that power. And this is from Adal, so the main Naru in Shatrath. So we're going to go ahead and take care of this. And start things off by killing off Blood Elves left and right. And the cool part also with the Tempest Keep instances is that they actually provided their own potions. Because they were actually using what they called Nethergon, which I'm guessing is a reference to Energon. Because around this time was when the Transformers movie released, so you have to have references. Here is the original Moarg design, by the way, in case you guys didn't see it in Tale of Drakfu, and if you didn't, you should. So, first of all, we need to take care of Gatewatcher Gyrokill, and the reason we have to is because they're kind of mini-bosses, but they actually unlock the other bosses in the area. I'm not yeah, they don't officially have their own lore, so we'll just go ahead and take care of them. They're both Moarg engineers. Oh, what's this? So we got something, we got a new quest, Lost Treasure. I sense that one of my kind's artifacts has been taken and stashed away in the cache of the Legion. We cannot give them time to discover its power. If you would kill the Gatewatchers and retrieve it for me, I would be most grateful. Good thing I guessed there. Oh yeah, and again, so you have Nethergon, and it just so happens these mana cells are cubed-based. It's almost like they're Energon cubes. Hee hee hee, Transformers reference. So let's keep on going. While dealing with all of the Blood Elf forces as well as the demons. Now this is the one that actually has a lot more demon presence. Until we get to the Architraz, which is the final wing. And that's just because that's a giant prison. So it makes sense that demons would be there. So here we go. Turn the corner, and there's actually our first boss, Mechanar Kael'thas. We're actually going to take care of these guys first before we go into the lore. There we go. So let's go into the lore of Mechanar Kael'thas. It takes a tremendous amount of skill and precision to harvest the power of the Naru's mana cells. These talents can easily be turned upon any intruders. Okay, and that's all we get for Mechanar Kael'thas. It's basically a gnome guy that's a gnome and a mech. Thankfully, he doesn't take that long to kill. There we go. Now, unfortunately, we can't leave just yet because our last Gatewatcher, Iron Hand, we need to get stuff from him too. So with great, so we can now turn this in. You have done well, Drakfu, but more work remains to be done. The Calculator. A gentle wind caresses your face. One more task yet remains. Pathalion the Calculator oversees many of his master's operations. He is personally responsible for much of the recent torment that has plagued this world. I ask that you eliminate him. Alright, so that's our next quest, but first of all, we're going to take care of the second boss, which is optional in the Tempest Keep, especially since in heroic mode, she is a bit of a bear. I remember beating her near the end of Burning Crusade, but that was after, we were able to get Magister's Terrace gear and a bunch of other stuff to help with that process. But she's still a bear, especially to tank. She was horrible. Because of the two fire elementals that follow her around. So let's go ahead and take care of these guys. And we have a big mech! Oh, and by the way, here is the cache of the Legion, so we need to take care of that as well. So let's go ahead and turn in both of the keys from the Gatewatchers, and we get an additional cache, and we can turn in Lost Treasure now. You've obtained it, I assume? Yes! You have done well. Any advantage we can take away from Kael'thas' forces is to our benefit. Alright. This was actually another cool way to be able to get Badges of Justice back in the day, which was a currency, as well as, I think it actually did have its own gear, like some gear that people actually did want. So you did need to take care of the Gatewatchers. You could skip it, but unfortunately you wouldn't get access to this area. So, here we go. Well then, yeah, technically you can't skip it, so I kind of double-talked myself. I'm going to go ahead and take care of these guys right next to our boss, which is Nethermancer Serpethria. So let's go ahead and talk to her, get her lore. Or Serpethria. Serpethria, yeah. Thanks to her skills at quickly summoning creatures to destroy any enemies, Serpethria was chosen as an apprentice to Pathalion the Calculator, the blood elf in charge of the Mechanar. Obviously not too much to say about these guys, but let's go ahead and take her down. And there you are. There's the two fire elementals that were a pain in the butt to tank back in the day. That's okay. She's done. And we'll take care of this mech. And this is actually the end game of the instance. We actually need to make our way to Pathalion the Calculator. Now, just to bring people up to speed, when we were questing the Burning Crusade, we dealt with Pathalion a few times. One time was in Hellfire Citadel, or Hellfire Peninsula, where he was trying to get the local earth elementals or giants riled up so that he could use them as an army. The other one was in an outpost in Terrakar Forest where he was helping create mana bombs. So this guy, not a good guy, and he's considered to be one of the right hands of Kael'thas. I say one because Kael'thas had many. But this is actually a cool point because it was a gauntlet to get to Pythalion. Thankfully, I'm not too bad at it, so... And people might be wondering what these arcane tomes are. If you were a scryer, they are the way to turn in for rep. So if you're looking to do some rep grinding and you haven't done the scryers yet, that's how you do it. You get the Sun Fury signets from the dungeons, as well as the arcane tomes from the dungeons. Here we go. Take care of them. And here's Pythalion. I have been waiting for you. I know you have. We've been waiting for you. So Pythalion the Calculator. Following the Sunwell's defilement, the vainglorious Arcanist Pythalion saw an opportunity to gain renown by aiding Kael'thas in finding a cure for his race's addiction to magic. This single-minded quest led him to join the Blood Elf Prince on Outland and oversee his disastrous experiments. Most recently... Oh.
You will not interfere.
Most recently, Pythalion has begun harnessing the Tempest Keep's otherworldly technologies in pursuit of fame, power, and death. Because we're going to kill you finally. Boom! Screw you, buddy. Oh, I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't get... we didn't get oh my gosh, we didn't get the Sun Eater. So tanks back in the day, if you were going to do heroics and raids, the Sun Eater that drops off this guy was really helpful. And unfortunately it didn't drop this time, but I've gotten it before. You have my gratitude, Drakfu. I'm sure I do. Now thankfully, there is a portal out from here. And we also, from Pythalion, got the bottom shard of the Arcatraz key. So that wraps things up for the Mechanar. When we get back next week, we will tackle the second wing of Tempest Keep, the Botanica. We'll see you guys then.